Hey, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. This is Gwen. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. It does help me out and helps YouTube to notice me just a little bit more so that my videos can be pushed out for others to see. Let's get on with these projects. So for DIY number 1, I will be using this decorative wood blank. It's from DollarTree and they have it out for every season, every holiday. I'm also using this galvanized metal bird as well as some wall stickers. These are just a few that I'm showing you, but I will not be using all of them for this project. I'm also going to be using some alphabet stickers. These came from a dollar store, as well as a decal that I made on my Cricut vinyl machine. Then these Crafter Square wood eggs I'll be using to embellish this project, and also some moss, Spanish moss. So first thing I wanted to do was to paint this galvanized metal bird. And taking some of this agave colored chalk paint by Waverly, I'll be using a sponge dauber and just sponging this onto this bird. Since this is a metal piece, I find that using a sponge dauber is better than using just a regular paintbrush, just because when you do paint back and forth, you will tend to rub off the paint. But with a sponge dauber, you sort of just sponge it on like this in a pouncing motion, and you tend to get less of the paint lifting. And I found that this needed 2 coats just to give that full coverage. Although with metal, if you're familiar with painting metals, it does have a tendency for the paint to chip off unless you do give it a good seal. But I won't find that to be necessary for this DIY. And here I am going ahead with adding the second coat to this galvanized metal bird. So once I was done with painting the bird, I went ahead and chose which of the wall decals I wanted to use, and I went ahead with this style right here with the vase. I felt like the colors complemented well with this background, which is this really nice robin's egg blue sort of color. And that was the original finish that this sign came in. I didn't have to paint it or anything like that. I liked the color just the way it was. And these stickers definitely complemented that whole background color, which was perfect. So here I'm just placing these stickers the way I wanted them to be arranged and using the pieces that I wanted to use. I knew I wanted a focal point, which is why I chose that one vase with those 3 flowers and then added a few more around it. So you can definitely choose a sticker design of your choice, depending on the color scheme and style that you want to decorate your project with. Now, as I mentioned, I did cut out this happy word off of my Cricut vinyl machine. And here you'll see that I'm sort of fussing with how I wanted to place my wording. I wasn't sure if I wanted it high, low, angled, straight. So when deciding on how you want your words to be placed, you just sort of have to play around with the placement until you decide on what looks good to you. So ultimately, I decided on putting it on the upper half of this sign. And I wanted the second word spring to look more interesting, so I decided to place it in a arched fashion. So here I'm just sort of eyeballing how I wanted this to look, sort of in that upside down U shape just below the happy word. And this is very customizable, so you can definitely arrange the wording to your preference. And you can even choose a different color decal or stickers if you wanted to. Once my words were attached to this sign, it was time to embellish that galvanized metal bird a little bit more. As you saw, I had painted it the agave color, and it's more of a flat look. And I wanted to give this a little more dimension, more accent. So I decided to take some white chalk paint and just sort of outline the embossed or raised parts of this bird using the same sponge dauber. And I'm just dipping my paintbrush or my sponge brush into the paint ever so slightly and just lightly gliding it along the raised edges and just giving it this sort of outline look. I wanted to make a nest for this bird, so I went ahead and grabbed some of those wooden eggs by Crafter Square and painted it a beige color as well as a pink color. And the third color was this gypsy green by DIY Paint. Next, I wanted to add the metal bird to the top of the sign. I used some hot glue as well as some Gorilla Glue and applied pressure to the sign. I did have a little trouble with getting this to stick to the board just because the metal was wanting to flip and not lay flat, so it wasn't really adhering well to the sign. So you'll definitely want to add more pressure and allow it to sit for longer, but I just wanted to get on to the next step. So what I did with this bird to further embellish it was to add some clear wax, and here I'm just speeding up the drying process so that I can move on to the next step, which is to add white wax. I wanted to tone down the blue a little bit more, which is why I wanted to use white wax, because it does give that effect of more muted tones. The next thing I did was I took some of this white Pom Pom Trim. It was already in my stash. I believe it came from Walmart. But you can find these Pom Pom Trims from DollarTree as well. I wanted to give this a little bit more decorative look, so I went ahead and glued this to the outer edge of this wood sign. So I use hot glue to just sort of outline the whole side and bottom section of this sign. I just left out the top portion. So then it's back to the bird. I went ahead and applied the white wax to the bird and just using a brush and lightly brushing on some of this white wax and using a paper towel to wipe off the excess and just leaving a little bit of that white wax to show through and allowing it to sort of mute the color, that blue color. And when you rub the wax off, It allows the wax to settle into the crevices or into the embossed areas, just accentuating those areas a little bit more. Then I wanted to create a nest for this bird. So using some Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree, I just took the amount of moss I wanted to use to create the size of nest that I wanted for this bird. So I just sort of squished the moss around, fluffing it about, just creating a makeshift nest, and then hot gluing it into place until I was happy with how it looked. And then it was time to glue the eggs into the nest. Then I decided to trim off this nest just a little bit, just taking my scissors and snipping away at the excess. And the last bit of detail that I added to this DIY was adding a ribbon. I took some of this polka dot ribbon from Dollar Tree, just made a simple shoestring bow, and attached it to the corner of the nest. And then finally, I just went ahead and dovetailed the edges of the ribbon. And that is it for this first DIY. I think this sign came out super cute. It is perfect for spring, great for a porch decor or just for your inside of your house. And I really love how it came out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. And moving right along to project number 2, this one is going to be a very easy DIY. I took some of these gingham fabric bunnies from Dollar Tree, and they came in a purple color as well. I'm also reusing an old candle jar. I won't be using the lid, I'm just using the base of the candle holder, as well as some pink and white twine and some glue dots. You'll also need a LED type candle of your choice. Here I will be using the roses. So the first thing I'm doing is removing the ribbon that this gingham bunnies came with. So for the jar, I will be needing at least 6 of these bunnies, but you'll need maybe less or more depending on the size of your jar or candle holder. Next, I'm using some pearl beads, which also came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using those as the tail of the bunnies. Here you'll see that I will be alternating the patterns of the bunnies. Some will be the solid pink color and others will be the pink gingham design. So this is essentially how I will be gluing this to the jar. Taking some of these adhesive dots, I decided to use these in place of hot glue. Now, if you don't have adhesive dots, you can certainly use hot glue. I just decided to go this route and just to see if it would work out. So as I mentioned, you will be attaching these bunnies in an alternating fashion all along the outside of this candle jar. So you want to make sure that you space them out enough to where you'll get a good even coverage all around your jar. So once you have all the bunnies attached to the glass jar, you'll want to take this twine and wrap it around multiple times just for an accent. And also it helps to secure those bunnies in place in case you didn't have them attached well enough. So there wasn't any particular rhyme or reason with the way that I wrapped the twine. I just wrapped it around haphazardly and then just made a simple bow. And then taking some of these LED lights, these came from DollarTree a while ago. I've had them in my stash for quite some time. And they're in this rose pink color. You can also take just regular LED candles or tea light candles and use them in place of this type of candle. But I've had these on hand, so I wanted to make use of them. I added some floral moss to the inside just to give these a little bit more height and add a little more color and interest. And that was it for this DIY. It was very simple to do. Makes a cute little accent piece, tabletop decor. And I just placed it on top of like a pedestal candle base and displayed it in my Easter vignette. I hope you guys like this one and leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and thank you so much for coming back to watch my videos. I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.